Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse, and in today's segment we are going to discuss prepping after the re-election of President Obama. I think a lot of people expected this, some people didn't, but we're going to go ahead and charge forth. There are 4 different sections that I want to cover with you today, because I've actually, in the 3 hours that I have been awake, I have been inundated by emails asking me for a renewed clarification on how we should prep now that Obama has been re-elected. Let's start first off with the thing that is probably on everybody's minds, which is weaponry and the assault weapons ban. In the second presidential debate, both candidates lent their support, verbally at least, for some form of assault weapons ban. I think it is very safe to say that access to ammunition, weapons, etc. is certainly not going to be opened up and made easier under this president's second term. So we need to look at this section, the bullets section of our prep work, unpack this, and evaluate what is realistic to prep for. Okay, let's start off with what we don't need to do. What we don't need to do is to take a huge portion of our budget allocated for prepping and go out and buy a ton of firearms and a ton of ammunition and sit on them. That's not the way to do this. If you've got your weapons already, which I hope people do, that money that you're looking at, take it and go get training. And I'm not talking about just going and plinking at the range. Learn how to fight with your weapon. Guns are not talismans. Their presence in your home or their presence when you're carrying them, that does not ward off the evil attacker spirits, folks. It is a tool. It only works as well as you make it work. Get training. Take your money, allocate it, your money that you've allocated for bullets, go and get training with it. I've trained with Tactical Response. I really like them. James Yeager is a friend of mine, and I have really appreciated his input, and I recommend their classes, so tacticalresponse.com. The second portion of our prep work, the beans portion, let's talk about the food here for a second. We know that our monetary policy is set by the Federal Reserve. The president has very little to do with monetary policy. Just because Obama got reelected, that does not mean that anything really has changed. If anything, the inertia is behind the same path or trajectory that it was, which actually is scary enough. The Federal Reserve is continuing to print money, so it is very safe to say now that it's going to continue to be that way, certainly, because the president's movement is behind more debt. More debt, not cutting spending, but raising taxes. So then we're just doubly screwed. With the food portion, our food is going to get more expensive. So we need to continue buying the food that we eat, the food that you enjoy. I'm not talking about just beans and rice, which, yeah, they are important, but let's get good, nutritionally sound food, store it up for our families, store up food that we like. Because in either case, whether it's a really deep economic collapse or a localized disaster, whatever, your standard of living is going to be better if the food that you have is tasty, yummy, and nutritionally sound. So store good food. The third is the Band-Aids portion, which is why you probably listen to me, the medical aspect of things. Let's talk about Obamacare. I live in the South. The South, as you can tell if you looked at the voting distribution, is definitely its own country. It is ignoring reality to say that we are a United States. We're not, friends. If this election taught you anything, it's that we are very deeply divided. In the South, where I live, the prevailing line of thought, especially amongst the physicians, the nurses, the other healthcare providers that I work with, is that when we take a step back, especially those of us who are healthcare professionals who have traveled extensively outside this country, when I take a step back and I look at where this system will have us headed, it looks a lot like the UK. Not to diss folks in the UK, but I don't want my healthcare system looking like that. So what do we need to do as preppers in this case? What is going to benefit us on the Band-Aids portion? Number 1, take more ownership for your family's preventative health. This is your key, folks. I cannot underscore or bold these letters big enough. Take more ownership for the preventative side of medicine for your family. That means eating well, cutting out processed foods, avoiding antibiotics if you can in favor of other less invasive measures, probiotics, hydration, vitamin D, etc., etc., etc. We also need to be storing up medical supplies so that way we can take care of people at home, especially if we are not wanting to go to the hospitals or federally managed disaster areas for whatever reason. We need to be able to take care of our family at home. Store up your medical supplies, but also, folks, to give a little bit of shameless self-promotion here, come take one of my classes, because my Medical Prep 101 class, we talk about a framework for approaching medical problems. It is not enough to have a bunch of stuff stored up and have no idea how to use it, how to problem solve your way through things when you don't have the supplies that you thought you did. A framework for approaching your medical problems is really going to serve you, so I encourage you to come take one of the Medical Prep 101 classes. Visit the website, www.thepatriotnurse.com. The fourth is land. We need to talk about how we need to, how we're going to prep as far as homesteading, land, etc. Land is a pretty certain commodity. It's one of the things that they're not making any more of. If it's here, it's here. Jack Spirko speaks about this pretty extensively. And I follow him a lot. I find that he has a good head on his shoulders, and I value his opinion and his appraisal of reality. If you are looking at finding a location outside of the city, or you were looking at, if you have a larger sum of money, how do I switch my fiat money, my paper currency, how do I switch that over into something that's going to be good for me? Look at farmable land, land that will produce for you. If you can grow your own fruits, vegetables, have an apple orchard, whatever. If you can produce for you, you can help meet your basic needs without having to rely on somebody else. Independence and self-sufficiency over the next 4 years, but honestly within the next 15, what I'm saying, that's going to be very, very important. The less that you have to rely on someone else, the less that you have to rely on the government, the better you're going to be, because that makes you more free. Freedom is not having to rely on somebody because you are able to take care of that need yourself. So, we've talked about some things today. I hope it was helpful for you. I wanted to address it because I opened up my email this morning and it was flooded full of, what do I do? So I wanted to give a very focused, targeted approach to our prep work. I wanted to let you guys know with the Patriot Nurse classes, the Medical Prep 101 class, I have 2 spots left for the Lexington, Kentucky class. If you're sitting on the fence, I've got 2 left and I am shutting it down when I hit that. If I don't meet those 2 spots before we get to the last week of class, I am closing registration 3 days before class, period. That's it. So no waiting until the last minute, get it done. If the class closes and you're not able to get in, the closest and next class to that will be December 9th, Sunday, December 9th in Knoxville, Tennessee. So you can register for that. I'm also going to Philly in January and then Fort Lauderdale in February 24th. So I hope it's been helpful for y'all today. And for now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later.